Hi, it's me, Doug again. You were saying about playing, because I've been playing EVE Online since like it came out. That does help.
Yes.
As far as.
Yes.
Okay.
Very much so.
In fact, I can tell you with customer service, for the most part, we don't hire a customer service person who hasn't played at least a year.
Good to know.
It's extremely important to be knowledgeable about the games that you're serving. For one thing, if you're a programmer on EQ2, if you've never played the game, how do you even know if it's fun? How do you know what your players are experiencing? How can you identify with the problems that they're reporting back to you? It is very, very important to be involved in the games, and starting as a player, that's a good place to start. That's where I started.
I'll also add one thing, kind of riffing off of what they said before. Don't lie about anything. The games industry, one thing you need to learn is the games industry is small and incestuous, and we all talk to each other. I've gotten, people talked about, I've gotten several calls, but yeah, this guy said he worked on Meridian 59. Have you ever heard of him? I'm like, who? And if you do that, you're going to instantly in the round file. You're not going to get any further. Don't if you lie on any aspect of it, expect to get caught. And if you don't hear back, that's probably why.
For this one, avoid the AAA loop. Like, I'm a concept artist. I've worked as a concept artist for 3 years now, and did some works as an illustrator. But every time I look at an ad as a concept artist for an MMO, they always ask for have you worked on a AAA? And so, should I send my portfolio at all?
It probably depends on the company and if it's under required versus preferred. I know for us at High Res, I personally feel the game industry puts too much of a premium on have you worked on this exact type of game. So as I mentioned, when it comes to programmers, we look for good programmers and that are passionate about making games, but not necessarily have game experience. When it's artists, it comes down to the strength of your portfolio. If your portfolio as a concept artist impresses someone there, if it matches the aesthetic and what they want to do, I don't believe if the studio is making a wise hiring decision, they're not going to discount it. That's my opinion. And I think companies that think that way have a competitive advantage because they can get younger, not younger, but less experienced, potentially hungrier talent in the door. So for us, I think really what that experience means to an employer is what Brian mentioned. It's the ability to finish something. That's really the key attribute. That's why as someone working in the games industry, your marketability goes up so much between working on 0 games and working on 1 game, is because you can prove, and they can contact that employer and say, you finished something. So what you really want to do is look for as many examples of projects that you have finished, because starting things is very, very easy, and finishing games is close to impossible. It just takes a miraculous amount of effort. And so you need to, and those are the questions you'll be asked, is, what have you finished? What took a huge amount of effort and you didn't think you could get it done, and you did, and it took extra hours, and it took working through arguments. That finished skill is what you need to demonstrate.
I was going to say, part of the component that we look at, we have different job descriptions, and sometimes we will be looking for a concept artist who has a history of AAA. Other times when the job descriptions are out there, we are being more open-minded and more broad-based. Like I said, we've hired somebody who was in high school, actually, in Iceland before. But part of the factor we also consider, I know several of the other companies do, is anytime we're bringing somebody in, say as an intern or entry level, it's their first position in the industry, we actually have to look at the manpower requirements in order to mentor them. And our configuration right now is generally we need 4 to 5 mid to senior level people for every brand new person we bring in to spread out the mentoring needs and still keep the workflow going so that we don't lose tempo. We're a Scrum-based company, so we're doing release and sprints every 2 weeks, and we have to have somebody to keep up with that. So bringing a new person online and having them immediately contribute to the team requires 5 or 6 people in order to bring them up to speed. So that's one of the factors we look at. So based on where we are in our planning a release schedule, and I think it's the same for many other companies, we may be able to open it up to brand new people, or we may be in a crunch period where we do need somebody with a proven history. So it's really a case, I think, of looking at the website and looking at the job description, because it could vary from month to month even sometimes.
Yeah, Yeah, I would agree with that fully. Sometimes you need somebody who's used to that crazy work environment and can meet those deadlines and deal with the hassles. And other times you can get somebody very fresh. Sony Online Entertainment has a working partnership with the Art Institute of San Diego. And those students, it's kind of interesting because every year they get tasked with a team-oriented project. And those students have to get together and work as a team on this project. And believe me, we sure notice when there's a real standout on one of those teams. And they might be brand new, but that's the type of person we'd certainly give a chance to.
Okay, just to jump in, if you have a question, please raise your hand high, because I can't necessarily see it. I will have you two next. This gentleman first.
Hi. I have been, over a number of years, working as a hobbyist on a number of concept games, just entire games by themselves, entire MMOs. How could you jump into, say, that kind of career or as a content writer or game writer, as it were?
I would say, again, kind of ripping off of what the panel said before, look for something you've done that's similar to what the company's looking for. You know, if they want somebody that's done an epic story arc, and you've done a game that has an epic story arc, you know, send the link of that in. Say, hey, look, you know, I've done this. Again, I've completed this project. I've done this project. I've completed this project. You know, if it's an online game, and say, you know, it's got, you know, X hundred, you know, players. You know, it may not seem as impressive as, you know, World of Warcraft's, you know, X million players, but, you know, having something you say, look, I built this, you know, here's my responsibilities, this is what I did, and it's got, you know, it's popular enough to have, you know, players maintain today, that's gonna set you head and shoulders above everybody else.
Let me turn it around for a minute for audience participation. How many of you have a LinkedIn account right now? Hold up your hands. How many of you are subscribed to groups in the gaming industry through LinkedIn? There's an opportunity you're missing. If you're familiar with LinkedIn at all, LinkedIn, if you get on groups, you'll get digests like every day telling you the postings of announcements or job positions are looking. Why not post, hey, I'm a freelance writer, here's a link to my website and my portfolio, I'm looking for contract work, I'd like to get in the industry. LinkedIn is one of the sources that I, as a corporate recruiter, use to look for people. A lot of hires that happen nowadays in the industry are not necessarily because we post it on their websites. We get references from other employees or friends of employees. Because if an employee tells us so-and-so is good, that probably means they've worked with them. And again, like these other guys have emphasized, they will finish a project. But getting out there on LinkedIn, actually, getting on some of these gaming groups, start participating in the discussions there, that's a way to build your network and get noticed, and it doesn't cost you anything. But you build connections and reputation that way.
Social media of any type is going to help you. Any way that you can get your name out in front of these companies and let them know that you're there. I happen to, the final step to getting this job was in Facebook. In my profile, I just posted, if your company needs a proper dwarf, contact me. 2 days later, I got a call from SMED. I think we need a proper dwarf in our company. And that's how it started. That was I just put that up there because I couldn't think of anything else to put in that profile spot. But he didn't know I was looking for work, and I didn't know they needed somebody. So you can't take that thing for granted. Put your name out there everywhere that you can. And yeah, post lots of links to your work.
Yeah, social networking is so vital, particularly in today's industry. I came into the industry because I knew the guys at White Wolf for a couple of years. I got an email one day saying, I'm getting married, going back to Canada, would you like my job? And so I was one of the candidates that they interviewed for that position because the guys knew me, not because I was looking. So a lot of it is, and the other thing is, don't stalk the employees of these companies. Stalking bad. Let's say you see somebody who has an article in Edge magazine, or they were quoted in Edge magazine. If, say you're on LinkedIn or Facebook and they friended you, you can always send an email saying, I saw this quote, or I saw this paper you wrote, could I get a copy of the full paper? Things like that, which shows an interest in the industry and shows you're not being psychotic, can work to your benefit.
You say psychotic like it's a bad thing.
So the number of restraining orders?
Yes, if you have more than 3 restraining orders, you have gone over the line.
we'll still hire you for customer service.
I'm in IT, so it works.